Citizens speak out. As people continue to demand that their governments grant greater freedom, respect human rights, and improved living conditions, they gather in countries like Belize, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica, Egypt, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Libya, Nicaragua, Mexico, Panama, Syria, and Yemen.
Central America. As U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton acknowledged during a Central American Leaders Summit Thursday, June 23rd, the grave situation of violence and death being caused by illegal drug-related activities in the region, she announced her country's donation of $300 million to assist in addressing the issue. Latin American leaders also highlighted the need to halt drug-related weapons sales, with Mexican President Felipe Calderón stating that 80% of the 112,000 guns seized in Mexico last year were made in the United States.
Brazil. In Pará State, where 5 environmental activists who spoke out against illegal logging and ranching were killed in the last month alone, the government has launched Defense of Life, a new campaign to ensure the safety of those under threat and to bring those responsible to justice.
Chile. Over 20 students were arrested Thursday in Santiago, Chile, as around 20,000 marched for reforms including nationalizing all education, lowering prices for college entrance exams, and a more meaningful voice in government.
Peru. After 5 people in Puno Department were killed and 30 wounded on Friday during rallies by the mostly indigenous Aymara population in protest of a proposed silver mine on the grounds that it would pollute the water while bringing few local benefits, Deputy Mining Minister Fernando Gala announced that the government was revoking its approval for the mine.
Egypt. During his first official visit to Egypt, Secretary General Salil Shetty of the human rights group Amnesty International commended the caretaker military government's democratic advancements in some areas.
At the same time, he called for the current leadership to set aside restrictive laws such as the ban on protests, the 30-year state of emergency, and the less than fair military trials currently being imposed on some 7,000 citizens, saying that these all contribute to an atmosphere of distrust that is sure to affect upcoming elections.
Somalia. As President Sheikh Sharif Sheikh Ahmed appointed Acting Prime Minister Abdiweli Mohammed Ali to the position of Prime Minister of the transitional government, Mr. Ali called upon the government and all Somalis to help in regaining national stability and security.
Libya. On Saturday, 17 Libyan athletes, 4 national football team members, and 13 other top figures in the sport symbolically defected from Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's rule and turned to support the activists as they called for him to step aside.
Syria. The Turkish Foreign Ministry revealed Friday that another 1,500 Syrian refugees crossed the border into Turkish camps on Thursday, fleeing the ongoing crackdown by the Syrian army in the region. This brings the total refugees in Turkey alone to more than 11,700 and counting, despite Syrian President Bashar al-Assad's recent pledges to pursue democratic reforms. After security forces killed 20 protesters on Friday, up to 1,000 Syrians also escaped into Lebanon, 6 of whom had suffered gunshot wounds, according to updated activist reports. On Saturday, the UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights stated that the army set up checkpoints and arrested another 150 people.
Yemen. Convening in a meeting Friday, the United Nations Security Council spoke out for the first time as one voice in expressing deep concern for Yemen's deteriorating security and humanitarian situation. The Council further urged security forces, tribesmen, and armed groups to refrain from violence and engage in dialogue. Meanwhile, the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights said that starting Monday, it will conduct a 10-day mission to meet with officials, rights activists, detained protesters, and victims of violations in the hope of being able to assess and make recommendations to the government.
As we join in grief for perished fellow humans as well as the wounded and oppressed, we pray for the strife in all corners of the globe to end, and that heaven's children everywhere may choose to live together in harmony, dignity, and freedom.